It is my huge privilege to welcome the bride and groom, Ollie and Emily. So good afternoon, everyone. I know a few of you. There's a few more that I don't know so well, but I'm just going to take a minute to say a few things. I hope you've all had a fantastic day so far. Yeah. Weddings are wonderful things. I was incredibly lucky to get married 4 years ago to my beautiful wife Emily, and I was honoured to have Ollie and Ed and Yusuf as my best men there, and it's an incredible pleasure and even more of an honour to be asked to MC today. And so I'll take this moment to thank you, Ollie, my oldest friend. Now I remember when we were planning our wedding a few years back and how difficult these things can be, the logistics and, trying to arrange everything, and there's always people who are going to miss out, and so I know that we all feel incredibly lucky to be here. Luckily our friend Henry over here was able to bring his girlfriend Dipple. It's a wonderful occasion to bring old friends and family together. Great to see Alec Owens here. He even bought a suit for the occasion. You get some great deals at the back-to-school season these days. Sam Houseland is here. Sound engineer and provider of the music entertainment this evening. Second time he's left the house this year. First time he's had a shower. And Keely. Lovely of you to cancel your birthday to be here. Tyndall, one of our DJs later on. It's a miracle he even turned up on time. Will Sage is here. He's the one wearing the white sneakers and shades with his suit. He's dating a model, don't you know? I'm sure he'll tell you at some point this evening. Michael Roderick, Ollie's cousin. I don't know you very well. Beautiful reading. And thank God, someone dressed as a 70s porn star. I never thought it was going to happen. Very relieved. Anyway, I'm aware not everyone here knows me. I don't have any material outside my immediate circle, but I look forward to getting to know you all and seeing you all on the dance floor. I'll be MC Hammered. You can't touch this. And ladies and gentlemen, the father of the bride.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul, and I'm proud to be the father of the bride. It is my pleasure to welcome you all this afternoon to this very special occasion and the wedding of Emily and Ollie. I understand that several of you have travelled some long distances. Spain? Anybody from Spain? Yes, and not quite so far. Manchester, anybody? No, Scotland. Ollie, you gave me the wrong information. A special thank you, especially for the Spanish ones. It's a fair way to travel. I thought the church service today was wonderful, and seeing this magnificent setting, I'm sure the reception will be as well. Before I start, I have to say that today was the first time that I'd seen Emily's wedding dress hanging on the hanger, and then she came in wearing it, and she was absolutely stunning. We're all here today thanks in a small way to my wife Janice. We had met Ollie on several occasions at home, out to dinner, drunk, sober. And Janice, having an extremely good taste in men, took an instant liking to Ollie, so in his quest for Emily, having won over the mother, the rest was made a little easier. However, it almost went very wrong when we, more me, discovered that Ollie is somewhat accident prone. Emily and Ollie had moved into a flat in Southsea, and Janice and I had driven over to see Emily as Ollie was going away for the weekend with a friend of his. Just in front of their flat, I don't know if anybody went there, there was the road with a slight incline and a roundabout. We were just entering the roundabout when a car was reversing back down the incline towards us. All I could do was sit there and blast my horns, thinking, this is silly, sounds like all my blasting the horn did was attract more passers-by and gathered their attention, and everybody was looking to watch this car come down the hill and crash straight into me. I was out of the car in a flash, pulled open the door ready to thump somebody, and it was empty. So sort of puzzled look all around, thinking, where the hell has this come from and who's why? Passers-by helped me push it back up the hill and put the handbrake on, and just at that moment, the owner of the car came out of the shop. You guessed it. Ollie obviously was horrified that he sort of left his car with no handbrake on and crashed in the car. But when he saw it was my car, he could have died. Yeah, out of all the cars to hit in Southsea, you had to hit his girlfriend's father. Fortunately, no damage was done, and despite this early setback, Ollie has proved to be the man who I know will make a very good son-in-law, and more importantly, a good husband to Emily. Paul and David, and we could not have wished for a better man for Emily. It is customary for my speech to include some stories about Emily. However, today there are no embarrassing tales. I just want to say that it has been such a pleasure for Janice and I watching you grow up and develop into the beautiful, intelligent, thoughtful and kind woman you have become. You announced your arrival into this world very loudly. Didn't know what sleep was. Knew how to have a tantrum. And always tried to get your own way. I emphasise tried, as Janice and I and her big sister Chloe made sure that you didn't. As it happens, today you have got your own way. You've got Ollie. And Ollie is a wife who is well organised, albeit a little bossy, which some would say is something that Ollie needs. It's wonderful today to see you both so happy and so excited. With regard to offering Ollie advice on being the perfect husband, after 31 years of marriage, I'm still learning, so I can't offer anything other than to say, keep honest and truthful to each other. Don't ever criticise her dress sense, her hair, her makeup, or her mother. We are delighted to officially welcome Ollie into the family, the same as we have welcomed Paula and Andy, who have already welcomed us into theirs. will say again, thank you all for being here. I hope you will enjoy the rest of the day. But first, can I ask you all to fill your glasses, be upstanding, in a toast to Emily and Ollie to wish them both a long, happy, healthy life together. Cheers. All yours, Josh.
My name's Josh, most of you know me, but for those who don't, I'm his brother, and I'm honoured to be serving as his best man today. Now, firstly, I'd really like to thank Paul and Janice and Mum and Andy for helping to make the day so special, and everybody for coming. Also, point out how stunning Emily looks. Now, for those of you who don't know about my and Ollie's relationship as brothers, we're very close. In fact, up until 6 months ago, we either lived together, worked together, played rugby together, or all of the above for our entire lives. And this meant that I had the privilege of watching Ollie grow into one of the best people I know. He's kind to consider as a couple, Ollie and Emily truly bring out the best in each other. Emily bring out more in Ollie than the other way around. Now, during my research into best man's role, I also stumbled across weddings in general, and I looked at the 3 key elements of a wedding. There is the aisle, it's meant to be the longest walk you're ever going to take. There's the altar, it's a place where two become one, and there's also the hymn, the celebration of marriage. Now, I swear Emily must have looked at the same website, because when she was walking up the aisle today, I could see her mouthing the words, I'll alter him. I'll alter him. I'll alter him. And I wondered why. I'm going to tell you a story about when we lived abroad. Ollie must have been about 13 or 14, and he was desperate to learn how to drive. He was pestering. Finally, my dad came, and he took him for a few runs around the car park just to pacify him. A few weeks later, Dad's very drunk in a bar playing cards. Along trots Ollie, asking him to go and get a CD from the car. Now, anybody who knows Ollie will probably know that he had no intention of getting a CD. He said he taught 2 lessons around Aqualand car park, thought he was an able driver, and like Lewis Hamilton, he tore off into the night. Fast forward. Our red Twingo's wrapped around a tree. Another car's been involved, and there is a Spanish woman screaming at a crying Ollie to go and get your parent because he doesn't have a licence. Dutifully, Dad turns up, but being 15 times over the limit, ends up getting arrested. And paying off the police for the next couple of years. Well done. It's just one of the many stories that I'm going to let the groomsmen divulge after. It does give me the opportunity to say that although you made many irresponsible mistakes, how proud Dad would have been of you today. Yeah. So to you, Emily, I would just like to say how much he would have loved you and how proud he would have been of you today. I know we agreed when we say we couldn't ask for a better wife for Ollie, and he'll be watching over your future happiness. Yeah. And to you, Ollie, he would have been incredibly proud of the men to come. Like me, he would have been impressed with the way you treat others. From looking after elderly people on a Sunday, to the amazing friendship kept, and applying yourself to the best of everything you do. So on that note, can we all raise a glass to
Yeah.
Now, following on from the theme of write-offs, I'm going to tell you a story about when Ollie and Emily first moved in together. As is the case with most couples, after an expensive move, donations are appreciated. As the story goes, Emily's grandmother kindly donated a sofa, which I'm told was a bit of a family heirloom. Now, a couple of weeks after, Ollie came home very drunk, and again, not uncommon in couples, fell asleep on the sofa. What is uncommon is being woken up by your new housemate and girlfriend in a fit of rage with a bleary head, not knowing to chit or fart. Unfortunately, I've done both. Shit, sofa. That's another night off for the books, right? Briefly going to mention Ollie's rugby career. Believe it or not, Ollie's actually a very good rugby player, but it wasn't always the case. I'd like to draw your attention to Yusuf over there.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
This is what I was playing for Hammond Juniors. Bolty,
keep it that way, man.
Augustus Groom, player bowling, maybe just overall ones that we could say. However, now he is a dad man and he is always one of the first names on the team sheet. I've had the pleasure of playing with Ollie for many years. But while I must say my love of the game is dwindling, Ollie's is only increasing. When I lace my boots up occasionally on a Saturday, my mind is firmly on the post-match beers, whereas Ollie is on whose legs he's going to try and break. The only reason I really still play, to be honest, is to spend more time with Ollie. As kids growing up, Ollie had the unfortunate task of pretty much babysitting me with his friends whenever they were plans on the weekends or the school holidays. I'd always be hanging onto their coattails, much said this way, Mum would make me go out with them. He was forever bringing his mates home unannounced for dinner, which I know upset Mum all the time. This one time he brought home this smelly, fat, snotty kid. I mean, she had to give me dinner because I had a son. But she wasn't all impressed with it. Now, despite all your mistakes, I couldn't be happy to start here next to you today. You mean the world to me, and to see how happily Emily makes you means she means the world to me too. The reason you both work so well is because, above all, you're amazing friends, and Emily, somehow you've managed to tame it, which I know my mum would be forever grateful for. Ollie, you always have, and you always will be my best friend. In many ways, I still feel like I'm hanging on to your coattails. I'm unbelievably proud of you, and I know everyone here will join me when I say, let's raise a glass to the happy couple.
Mate. Ladies and gents, it's honestly, a very proud moment for me to introduce the second most important man of the day, or important person of the day, the groom, Ollie Bowles. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, on behalf of my wife and I, we'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here to celebrate this momentous occasion with us. It truly wouldn't be the same without all you here, albeit it would be a hell of a lot cheaper. Say the least. As Paul said in his beautiful speech, in fact, before I get into that, I'd like to say that, Josh, that was a really, really beautiful speech. I know how nervous you were. You sat there looking at an empty plate that turned green and looked like you're about to be sick all over the plate. So I've swapped places with him in terms of speeches just to get his over with, but you did a great job. And as Paul said in his equally eloquent speech, we have family and friends that have travelled from all over the UK to celebrate with us today, and even some from further afield. You know, it never does cease to amaze me how far people are willing to travel for a good piss up. And a free meal. No, I promise to try and keep keep my speech relatively short, as I know that my groomsmen are chomping at the bit to humiliate me in front of all my friends and family. But lucky for me, our marriage was legally binding as a roundabout. I think I might just get away with it, to be honest. My speech is mainly going to be comprised of thank yous and, of course, toasts. So please ensure that you keep your glasses nice and topped up. My main aim is to get you all so rat-assed that you can't remember what the best men are going to say in this. So my first thank you of the evening is to all the wonderful bridesmaids. You all look absolutely stunning. Thank you for all the support that you've given us both on the run-up to today. I know it's been quite a stressful occasion getting to this point. You guys have made it so much easier. Now, I had written something into my speech about managing to get Emily to the church on time. we can certainly take that out now. There are 3 things that I've learned about punctuality when living with Emily. I'd like to share them with you now. Number 1 is when she tells me that she'll be 2 minutes. Translates to she's just got out of the shower and not started her makeup yet. Number 2 is when I'm ready to go out and she'll shout down the stairs to inquire whether I've got my shoes on. It's Emily's way of asking me, or telling me rather, that she's nowhere near ready but wants to make sure that I am ready to leave. My 3rd personal favourite is when I'm standing at the door with my shoes on, ready to leave the house. And I inquire politely as to how long Emily might be till she's ready to leave, and I'm met with a sarcastic response of, "I'll be ready when I'm ready." And that's Emily's way of telling me I've got time to watch a 10-part Netflix series, plus the bonus room before we have any chance of leaving the house. Janice and Paul, the kindness and generosity that you've shown me in my time with Emily has been truly, truly heartwarming. And your generosity and kindness is clearly on display today by means of, again, your extremely generous contribution towards this wedding. To all think this incredible day started, when I got down on one knee, and I got down on both knees, looked up at Paul and begged him to pay for the entire wedding. I owe the biggest thank you of the evening to you both for allowing me to marry your wonderful daughter, and Paul for giving her away willingly, perhaps a little too willingly. You guys are incredible in-laws, and believe me when I say Emily is in very safe hands, and I promise to love and cherish her for the rest of my life. Mum, may I commend you on raising such a charming, well-mannered, dashingly good-looking son. My commiserations are your attempts on raising Josh. Can't all be truly blessed. But again, we would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your extremely generous contribution towards the wedding. We'll be thanking both sets of parents personally after to keep the speeches flowing, but without both sets of parents, it wouldn't have been so much 3-course barbecue extravaganza, vol au vents and cocktail sausages down the local Conservative front. So we truly are extremely appreciative. And let's say, Andy, you are a shining example of how a man should treat his wife. You laugh together continuously, you grow together, continue to surprise each other, and treat each other with the utmost kindness and compassion and respect. And that, for me, is what marriage is all about. And from the bottom of my heart, I couldn't have wished for my mum to have found a better man in you. So. Before our first toast of the evening, I'd like to extend my gratitude and my thanks to the boy at the end of the table, our best man today. Not only has he been by my side today, but he's been by my side my entire life. He's been there for me throughout the best times of my life, and has also been by my side and supported me through the hardest. And I can honestly say, Josh, you are my best friend in the world. Hay fever. Don't hit me. I love you from the bottom of my heart, and thank you for everything you do for me. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you join me in raising a glass? Tasting, not to Josh, but to family, please. Now, although I only have one brother by blood, I've always been blessed to have such an incredible group of friends. For some people, friends come in and out of their lives throughout their life, but again, I've been truly blessed to have such an incredible group of friends from when I was very young, and they are the equally dashingly good-looking chaps on table one. You guys have been incredible. Thank you for all your help on the run-up to today. I can honestly say, you've been like brothers to me growing up. I never get tired of your company, although you probably might not say the same about mine. You guys are awesome, so to you, thank you very much for all your help today. Now, on a more serious note, a couple of very special people couldn't be here to celebrate with us today. And one of those was, of course, my very dear dad, David, who unfortunately never got the chance to meet Emily, as he passed away shortly before we ever got together. But I know if they had have met, he would have taken great delight in telling me that I'm punching well above my weight. And would probably have proceeded to ask Emily whether she had any single friends at any moment. And two very special people, dear to Emily, again can't be here to celebrate with us, and that's her Pop, who she held very dear to her heart, who has unfortunately passed away also, and her Nana, who is too unwell to attend. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you please raise your glass and toast to absent friends? Absent friends. Now, I suppose I better wrap up proceedings with a few words about my wife. Now, Emily isn't really one for gushing displays of affection, but I'm hoping she might let me off today. Now, as you'll see, which are beautifully put together, your place card holders are slotted into feather shuttlecocks. They are all handmade by our resident calligraphist, Emily Bruder, which is one of our bridesmaids. So if you need any calligraphy work done, I know what. Awesome job, and that's taking absolutely ages. As I said, they're slotted into feather shuttlecocks, which is significant to Emily and I, because we met at a badminton club. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, the whitest, most middle-class way of ever meeting your future wife. I just moved back from London in a failed attempt at becoming the UK's next table tennis sensation. And long out of staying my welcome on my friend Sam and Keely's sofa when I was pretty low on inspiration when I decided to give badminton a try. Shortly into my first game, I look over to the opposite court and I see a mysterious, dark-haired, beautiful woman staring back at me. Now, I wasn't sure whether she was staring at the distinct lack of skill and coordination and fitness that she was witnessing on my court, or whether she quite liked what she saw. I couldn't be sure. So, after my first game, I trundled to the back of the room, gasping for air, beetroot face, sweat dripping out of every pore, and who should I see walking towards me? And these smoky eyes, sultry smile, and these tight electric blue lycra pants. I couldn't believe my luck. She sat down next to me and struck up a conversation, and we hit it off immediately. Not before long, we were laughing, telling stories. And it wasn't so long into our conversation that this lady bravely asked me whether I had a girlfriend. And I went in even brighter shade of red at this point. Brighter shade of red. But as flattered as I was to be accosted by such a beautiful woman, I couldn't help thinking that I might be a little bit too young for it. Now you might be thinking Emily doesn't look that much older than me. It's because it wasn't Emily that was coming on to me, it was her mum Janice. And what she was actually trying to do is trying to suss me out to set Emily and I up on our first date. And needless to say, due to the fact that we've been telling this story in front of all you lovely people, it was a roaring success. So Janice, you are the world's best matchmaker. So Emily, a few words to finish from the heart. From the moment that I managed to negotiate a cheeky kiss off you, at the end of our first date, I felt that my life had changed forever. You know, the electricity that I felt at that moment was like nothing I'd ever experienced, and I truly felt that I'd found that missing part of my life that I've been yearning for so long. You know, every day with you has been an adventure so far, and I cannot wait to spend the rest of my life with you. So ladies and gentlemen, would you please all be upstanding? Raise your glasses and toast to the new Mrs. Bowles. Thank you very much. Now, without further ado, I shall introduce these boys. Go easy on me, lads. It's my groomsmen, Charlie and Ed. I'll hand you over.
Bloody hell. Don't know how to follow that. I've always admired you, but that was a bit of a surprise. I've already spoken, you bored of me already. I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Edward Foster.
So, as you guys have already heard, a couple of years ago, Ollie and I were both best men to Charlie. Now, truth be told, we were pretty respectful of the groom's intense censorship of our speech on that occasion, managed to get away with only really offending the family of the bride once or twice, which we counted as a bit of a win. So in the run-up to today, and in the interest of fairness, we sat down with Ollie to have the same conversation and establish which stories would be off limits. The answer, ladies and gentlemen, disturbed me. I was expecting a huge list of banned topics. Furniture soiling, stolen cars, cross-dressing, burglary convictions. But no! All Ollie said to me was, please try not to offend Emily's family by insinuating that I slept with loads of women before we met. I said to him, fair enough, I get that. In fact, I agree with you, that wouldn't be right. Arguably, it would be pretty immoral to get up here and lie like that. The reality is, Ollie was never someone you went to for advice about the opposite sex. In fact, it was a rare enough occasion that he could string a coherent sentence together on a night out. And then the rest of the time he was drunk. So, imagine our surprise when he ended up with this lovely lady as his girlfriend, and my further shock that he somehow persuaded her to be his wife today.
See, the thing is, Oliver is blessed with a good, strong heart. He's been a friend of mine since we were 8 years old. We grew up together. We even lived together once. It was back in Ollie's days of knocking doors for British Gas. Or was it Southern Electric? Yeah. Doesn't matter, the point is his life was miserable. Back then he was up at the crack of dawn, walking around in the rain, doors slammed in his face all day, and he'd come home having wished for the day to be over, to parties, drunkenness, loud music through the night. And it's fair to say it wasn't harmonious. And so he moved out. But the point is that our friendship never wavered, was never in question. And that is a testament to Ollie's incredible loyalty. And he's come a very long way since those days. Back then, he used to wander around in the rain, selling people unwanted gas, and now he sits in traffic jams up and down the country and sells people unwanted fun. Ollie is also blessed, as we can see, with a good, strong body. playing rugby to a quality level. And I was lucky enough earlier this year to attend the Portsmouth Services end of season rugby do, where I was very proud to witness Ollie pick up not only Players Player of the Year, but Supporters Player of the Year as well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is worth a big round of applause. Let's give his ego a big stroke before we bring it crashing back down again. Because to be fair, it wasn't always a prime athlete. In fact, as a 12-year-old, he earned himself the flattering nickname of Monty Glue, due to his uncanny resemblance to a cross between middle-aged golfer Colin Montgomery and morbidly obese child chocolate addict Augustus Glue. So, good strong heart, good strong body today at least. Not always had the strongest of minds though.
No. We are talking about a man whose frequent and unique cranial mishaps led to the naming of his very own medical condition, cerebral palsy. You couldn't write half of the stories that this guy comes up with. I remember on one occasion he called me in a self-induced rage on his way back from an important business meeting in the Midlands, where he'd been pitching for a potentially massive sales deal. Ollie had spent days preparing a detailed pitch, got up early, at the crack of dawn, drove hundreds of miles up the country, psyching himself up along the way, only to realise upon arrival that he'd forgotten his laptop, which contained the entire content of his sales pitch. He didn't get the deal. He's lost more cars than anyone I know, and I mean actually lost them because none have been stolen. Ollie's the only person I'm aware of who has called the police to report a stolen car because he drove to the gym, worked out for an hour, forgot he had driven, walked home, entered into a fit of panic the next morning when he couldn't find the car anywhere near the house, and presumed it had been stolen.
I also believe he's actually still the record holder for the longest time spent in Gatwick Airport, due to reasons entirely unrelated to flight delays. But rather because he forgot where he parked his car a few days prior and spent several hours walking through all the zones of Gatwick Airport car park, desperately clicking the unlock button in a dire hope that the car would identify itself. It's an image that brings joy to the soul. And let's not also forget that Ollie failed an Alzheimer's test aimed at octogenarians at the age of 27. Now, Ollie, for your benefit, that's people in their 80s. But I suppose the thing about suffering from something like cerebral palsy is that people had to cut you some slack. I mean, we've already heard from Paul, you know, the consequences of this clown's actions and his inability to work a handbrake. And yet, he still allowed Ollie to marry his beautiful daughter.
So he has his own medical condition. He also has his own adverb. Here is the man whose dark mind, short fuse, and remarkable lack of patience led to the naming of the phrase, negging. When you combine someone who suffers from cerebral palsy and therefore makes terrible life decisions with someone who has a predisposition for bad moods, you've got a truly special combination. I remember on one occasion he came to visit myself and Yusuf up in London. We got pretty pissed watching a film at ours, and at one point we went outside for a cigarette. It had been raining very heavily that day, and in our garden there was a long thin strip of grass at the back, and Ollie, natural showman that he is, eyed it up and said, "That looks perfect to do a Klinsman." For anyone unfamiliar with what that means, that is essentially a diving skid on your chest. So obviously we egg him on, and he does it, returning soaking wet, covered in mud, and instantly regretting his decision. But it wasn't until the next morning, when he couldn't find his passport and was horrendously hungover, that the negging truly began. He spent half an hour frantically searching the house, rage levels rising gradually. And then he remembered that it had been in his trouser pocket the night before. So off we went out into the garden, and sure enough, there it was, immersed in a puddle, totally sodden and utterly unusable, which would be fine, except Ollie was going on holiday on the Monday. He spent the next half an hour on the phone to HM Passport's office, gently simmering rage levels, until he found out how much a next day passport was going to cost him. I believe his exact words at this point were,
We could honestly stand here for hours. There are countless stories. It's endless. But Ollie, joking aside, as well as hilarious entertainment, you are a truly, truly wonderful friend. We feel honoured to be here. And Emily, while on the one hand, we wish you good luck. You know, as well as us, or more than us, you don't need it. You have found an incredibly wonderful man with a generous and warm heart, and you are the perfect person to be with him, and I'm so happy for you both. We all are. So ladies and gents, if we can all be upstanding once more. We'll have a raised glass and a loud cheer for our happy couple, to Ollie and Emily.